So welcome back to 𝐓𝐡𝐚𝐨 Company, and today is our last video on game localization, and we will talk about the final stage of this project. It is post-editing and localization testing. So what's the wait, and let's dive straight into our video. And before starting our post-editing and testing stage, we need to choose our language lead. And the role of language lead will be like similar to supervisor. And he or she, or the ones our chosen language lead, will be overseer or supervise the entire post-editing and testing process. And also who will take in charge in deciding the final version of the translation, if there are multiple translations available throughout the whole project. And the last stage will consist of several steps. And let's go on the first one. This is revision and proofreading. So at this stage, we'll read the entire translation from top to bottom to looking for errors, and with also a checklist so we know what are we looking for. And the top of the checklist is accuracy. Accuracy is like the comparison between the original and the translated. So see is the meaning accurate, the tone of voice, and also are there any errors like typos, grammatical errors, and sometimes legal issues that might encounter in the future. Like for example, we have the Dragonfly system. Well, at first it has another translation that we received some feedback from our clients. We need to change. So the previous translation is Phong Bảo Vũ, and after receiving the feedback from our clients, we realized that it is the same name with a movie. So we have to change our translation so that we don't have any legal issue in the future. So after a while, we translate it into our current Tinh Linh Quần Tích. Another example is the word queue. We have to pay a lot of attention when translating the word queue, because we have to make sure that the age rating does not change based on our translation. Like if we translate literally like queue, it will increase the age rating of the game. So we have to make sure that we translate the word queue into vụt, like down. And next on the list is naturalness. So we have to read and make sure that the translation match with the naturalness of our original text, and also have to make sure that it's suitable to the context and the tone of voice of the who is speaking the line. An example to demonstrate this is a gun skin description, and it's written as those chosen by the family are born to serve. And to translate this, and we have to make sure it's natural, we have a whole entire team to sit down and then read it, and without looking at the context first, and then later with the context, and we came up with a translation, and that is Sứ mệnh gia tộc, phụng mệnh phục tùng. And if we translate it back into English, it's like uphold the legacy and dutifully serve each decree. And to do so, we have to make a lot of adjustment in order to make this translation feels like it's like making the translation some way that when the player reads, they can feel the weight we want to convey from the original. And the next step is post-editing and making adjustment. So at this stage, the language lead will take in charge of looking for errors from small to big, from minor to major. So minor errors just like typos, grammar errors like what we mentioned above. But for majors like distortion or inaccuracy in the entire meaning, so we have to note down and then find a way of solution, or have the whole team sit together to translate again, so to make sure the quality control is spot on. And now we're going to move on to the final step, and that is sending our completed translation to our client. So after proofreading, revision, post-editing, and making adjustment, correction, so now it's time to send our translation to our client. And during this stage, the client will test with our translation whether there is work, does it suitable, appropriate, and does it any error during their testing, so we can make adjust based on the feedback. So for example, when we translate some code segments and then we send to our client, and the feedback was we are missing some underscores in some segments, and that will cause the entire game to freeze, unable to play. So after receiving the feedback, we have to make sure that the whole team have to scan the entire, like every single code segments, and to make sure that every single digit sign symbols, even underscores are the same with the original to make sure that the game can work properly. After all stages, after all steps, and the customer are satisfied, we have now finished the project. Yay! And we have finished the game localization project. From start to finish, from the first stage of researching to the final post-editing. This project requires entire team creativity, dedication, and coordination between members in order to create the translation that exceeds our clients' expectations. Thank you for tagging along with Tag Company throughout our journey of game localization. And with a team of native linguists and professional translators, we are ready to take your software, games, websites to a whole new level. Press like, subscribe to stay tuned to our next interesting project. Bye bye!